I recently got asked a fantastic question about how to start a business when you've got no money or no access to money. Not everybody's friends and family have the capital you need to start a company. So my basic insight is from my own personal story. My own first company was a gardening company, and I didn't have any money to start that business either. And I was so naive that I thought, right, I've got this idea. I'm going to go help people look after their gardens. So I knocked on someone's door and I said, hey, can I please take care of your garden? And the first 5 people said no. And then slowly I perfected the pitch, and eventually one person said yes. And by the end of the first day of pitching, I must have spoken to 50 homes. And I was so lucky that 10 people actually in the end said yes. And I got home and thought, right, I've got 10 clients, and next weekend I had to start taking care of their gardens. And then I realized I don't have any money to buy the equipment. So I had the great idea to go back the following day and say to the 10 people that had said yes, thank you so much for agreeing to let me be your gardening firm. Please can I get a 50% deposit? And those people gave me, at the time, £150 to allow me to have enough money to go buy a lawnmower and a few rakes and a few bits and pieces I need to actually start my gardening company. Now that's just a quick insight as to one way in which you can start a business and then frankly hustle to get the money that you need. There are other ways, of course. For example, you can think about how to build businesses that are cash flow positive from day one. So there are businesses where you can buy product, where they give you credit, maybe 30 days or 60 days, and then you can sell those products, collect the money, and then hopefully with that money, pay back those creditors before the due date. So therefore you can build up a cash flow positive business. I can tell you a million stories of people like Airbnb, for example. The founders, when trying to get Airbnb to work, were really struggling with the marketplace. When you have two sides of the marketplace you're trying to build, the buyer and the seller, it takes a long time before money comes into your bank account. And so what they did was they actually started a cereal box company. They did Obama reels, basically little snacks in breakfast boxes, and they made all the boxes themselves. They went to the supermarket, they bought cereal, they put that cereal in the boxes they made themselves, and then they sold it online. And that's actually how they made money to pay for Airbnb to get funded for the marketplace to come alive. So, you know, it's certainly not an easy thing to build a business with no money. I can tell you as someone that's done it, it is in fact the most rewarding thing in the world. In fact, I would argue that sometimes getting shareholders or investors, and I'm an angel investor sometimes, so I feel I can say this, it's not always best or good to get an angel investor on board. It can in fact help the business, I would say, to not get an investor on board, because you can discover what you want the business to be before you get an investor on board who's going to tell you what they want the business to be. Equally, some businesses are not destined to make millions and millions of pounds. They can just be lifestyle businesses for people where they enjoy the business. And if you have an investor, they have a different agenda. They might like it that you enjoy the business, but they ultimately want a financial return, which can put pressure on you. And I have seen it where eventually that means you don't enjoy the business. So you've got to get the balance right between building a business that's well funded, but at the same time not building a business that you don't enjoy. And for me, I think the key idea, you'll always find the money if the business that you're working on is very purposeful. And that's the bit that I think people overlook. Even if you've got a good idea, even if you could start the business because you've got the money, you've got to make sure it's sustainable. And I think to make it sustainable, what you're doing has to be enjoyable for you and long-term purposeful. So I hope that answers the question. That's a long version. I hope that it does give you at least an insight as to how you can start a business without lots of capital. And ultimately, I think make sure you build a business that isn't financially driven, but is enjoyable for you and purposeful. So thanks very much. Bye.